bless you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the iGame. It's Brother Derek. Right now, we're going to talk about current events and how it affects our lives, the future. It's going to affect our children. It's going to affect everything. It affects the way we relate to other people, the way we relate to ourselves, especially the way we relate to the Creator, because He designed a certain way for humans to live. And we continue to change it, alter it, shift it, move it forward and backwards, and we always call it advancements, but sometimes it's not. And this series is going to be about AI, artificial intelligence, and how it affects our lives, our livelihoods, our minds, bodies, soul, spirit, everything. AI has an impact on how we live and also why we live. It's also going to change our purpose of living. And, you know, each episode is going to talk about a different element of this. Some of us are already seeing the impact of AI, and it's affecting the schools, our jobs, communication, education, entertainment. AI is affecting everything. So this first one, I'm going to talk about faith. And faith is all over the Bible. Faith is a part of every religion. Faith it relates to our soul, our emotions, our peace of mind, everything. And the scripture about that is 2 Corinthians 5:7. It says, we walk by faith and not by sight. Faith is trusting God for what you don't know. Faith is what we do when we're following God and we don't know what's next. But God gives you an instruction and you move on it, but you don't know the end result. You don't know if you're going to win or lose. You just know you're following God and you trust Him. What AI is doing is we no longer trust God the way we're supposed to, because now you want to see the end from the beginning. It's kind of like the beginning of that training, I'll say it was like the GPS in the car. The GPS, you plug in the front, you plug in the back. So you know where you're starting and you know the end point. So with the GPS, it guides you every step of the way. Every 100 yards you drive, it's showing you the next turn, stop signs, speed traps. It shows you everything, the railroad crossings. So when AI becomes a GPS, it's training your brain to trust the computer to do everything for you. But you also know the end. So that's knowledge. Knowledge is when you know every step. Faith is not knowing the next step. You're just trusting God and trying to move. You're trusting God with the end result. With the GPS, you know everything. So you don't need faith anymore, because faith is not knowing the end. Knowledge is knowing every step. So with GPS, it's all knowledge. And we get so accustomed to trusting ourselves and trusting computers that your faith begins to die. So when you're trusting God, it's not like the GPS, because God is going to tell you to go, but you don't know where you're going to end up, and you don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know what obstacles you're going to encounter along the way. You don't know anything. You're just trusting God and loving God. So when our bodies and our emotions and our brains are hooked to knowledge, faith begins to die. So now you don't do anything unless God comes out the sky and holds your hand and walks you through it, and that's never going to happen. God's going to send angels, He's going to send people, He's going to give you an unction. But if all you do is have your headphones on and the music on and the GPS on, you never ask God for any directions. And right now I'm talking about a car. But what about the GPS of your life, your career, the GPS of your education, the GPS of your marriage? And some of us aren't married yet, but you're going to be. How do you know who to marry if you need to know everything? People have a tendency to marry somebody, you want to know everything about this person. If you don't know everything, you don't trust them. That's because you're not living by faith, you're living by knowledge. And you're never going to know everything about that woman. You're never going to know everything about that man. You're just going to have to trust them. But you're not being taught to trust people because you don't have all the knowledge. Because we're used to computers and GPSs that have all the knowledge. But with people, sometimes you just have to walk by faith and trust people, but you can't. So we really think we're trusting people, but you're really not. You're asking for all the knowledge. You're trying to uncover a person and then control that person so you know the outcome. That's not faith, that's knowledge, that's selfish, it's pride. I need to know everything before I do anything. Life don't work like that. It never has and it never will. And even with all the knowledge we have, and even with knowing everything, you're still gonna have unforeseen circumstances. That's what COVID taught the world. COVID taught everybody, you don't know nothing. One virus shut down the whole planet. And many people lost their minds and many people lost their lives. Many people lost their jobs just because of a virus, because they did not know. A lot of people died from fear. They didn't even die from COVID. They died from fear because they didn't know the answers. COVID proved to the world we don't have the faith we think we have, because you need to know everything. AI is taking our faith and it's replacing it with knowledge. I need to know everything or I will never be happy. I need to know everything or I'm full of anxiety. I need to know everything or I'll be depressed. I need to know everything or I will dominate you. I need to know everything or I just can't live. Some people are just paralyzed because they don't know everything. Those are people who have no faith. They just want all the knowledge and all the answers up front. If I don't have all the knowledge, I'm not going. Life wasn't always this way. I mean, I'm only 40, but I remember I've gone to jobs and job interviews and worked for companies. I didn't even know what my job was. The application and the posting in the newspaper, tell you how long ago it was, the newspaper, it just said material handler, packager, laborer, warehouse worker, because they just brought bodies in. I didn't know what kind of work I was going to be doing. I didn't know if it was a forklift. I didn't know if it was a cherry picker. I didn't know if I was loading trucks, unloading trucks. I didn't know anything. I just wanted a job. And many times they just brought you in, or they brought me in just because I was willing to work. They couldn't even tell me what my job description was. Once upon a time, we just lived by faith. We just showed up. And like 80% of life is just showing up. But what AI has done is you don't move if you don't have all the answers. And that's killing our faith. And without faith, you can't serve God because you need to know everything. That's where this abundance of therapists are coming from. People want to know everything. And just to show you how backwards it is, they're talking to strangers about their real life instead of talking to God. And then you avoid the real people who really know you because you don't want the encounter. You don't want the face-to-face conflict. The people that really know you know the truth about you. But you avoid that because that's too uncomfortable. But you'll go talk to a stranger who knows nothing about you. So you have more faith in a stranger than you do in God and people that really know you. Because you need to know everything. You don't want anything to challenge your knowing because you have to be right. That's not faith. That's pride. And if you look at the root of it, it's really fear. Why do you need to know everything? Even if you have all the answers, what are you going to do with it? So you still don't know, which means you have to go back to faith and you have to go back to God. And you have to understand God has a bigger plan for us. He's the ultimate chess player. But instead of doing it God's way, I want to know everything. So I'm going to use my GPS, I'm going to use my computer, I'm going to use my Google. I need to know everything or I ain't doing nothing. And if you really pay attention to that lifestyle, it's really holding you back. And now you go online to get motivational quotes from strangers because you want all the knowledge and all the control. But what you're really doing is, first of all, it's not control anyway. It's a false sense of control because you really don't have control. But you think you have control because you have the knowledge you want. And what's really sad about that is that your knowledge is so limited. Now you're framing the world the way you want it to be. So you can't let God in because if God comes in, he's going to crush the whole show. AI is taking your faith and you're replacing it with knowledge. And for those of us who read the Bible, what happened in Genesis chapter 3? Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and everything crumbled after that. So we want GPS to give us the answers. We want AI to be the GPS. We want AI to give us all the knowledge we want so we can feel safe, but you're still not safe. Because once you have all the knowledge, what are you going to do with it? Now you're paralyzed by fear because it's too much. So we're hurting ourselves trusting these computers. And I said this a long time ago, what's going to happen if the lights get cut off for 7 days? What would you do if you had no electricity for 7 days? No cell phones, no gas in your car, no computers, no telephones, no TV. What are you going to do then? Now we've gone back to the beginning where we have to rely on God and we have to love each other. And I'm going to talk about this later, but you trust your computer. Some of us trust computers more than other people. So what will you do with no electricity? Where are you going to put your faith in? Well, now you have to trust the common man. Now you have to trust your neighbor. Now you have to pray to God.